Hello, my name is Marcus Walker, and today I'm going to be talking about my final presentation today for my ACC 455 class, Accounting Issues, where over the entire semester we learned a little bit about some Excel University functions, and here are the topics that I will be presenting through between 1, 2, and volumes 1, 2, and 3. First off, we have better summing and skinny row. I think both of those go hand in hand, so I thought it would be nice to include that into one topic itself. Next, we have some lookup basics, which came from volume 2. Chapter 5, part 1, and then finally I'll wrap up a little bit with pivot table basics, which came from volume 3, chapter 3. Now, when I'm displaying all of these various different topics in Excel, I will be using my own personal budget or an estimate of my own personal budget that I will be making post-graduation. So just keep that in mind when I'm going through all of these different topics. So first up, we have skinny row and summing. So as you can see, we have a monthly budget of all my various expenses that I could forecast myself having in the next month or so post-graduation. So we have rent, entertainment, groceries, and gas for its own respective amounts. Now, how do we get these numbers to look nice and neat with better summing and also skinny row? So say I had to include another expense. Say I had a car payment for $250, right? Sometimes if I include it here and have the amount right here, I will have to include that in the subtotal function and drag it down, which takes a lot of time if you keep doing it again and again and again. So instead, what you can do is if you change the row height here, instead of 12.75, as you can see on the screen, you change it to 4, you make it a skinny row. So then, what you can do is, let's go ahead and create our subtotal function first. So we got equals subtotal, then we have 9 for the sum, comma, and then let's just get all the amounts that we have, and we need to include the skinny row because when we add a new type of expense, it will be right where the skinny row used to be, so that needs to be included. So hit enter, we have our amount, right? Correct? Awesome. So like I said, we have a new car payment. So let's go ahead and add that in here. So we have a car payment of $250, and if this is correct, it should include it into the subtotal function. We have a negative $250 amount, voila, we got negative $2,150. Now, as you can see, we have this monthly revenue here of $5,000 again. That is close to what my budget will be. So then this is where it gets into better summing. So as you can, if you remember here, you can see that this already had a subtotal amount. So with better summing, when you use a subtotal function, it will exclude a previous subtotal function that you have used previously. So if you see here, if we do equals subtotal here, and we just do 9 again for sum, and then we include the 5,000 and the negative $2,000 amount, it won't necessarily work because this is already a subtotal function and it excludes all other subtotal functions. So instead, what you can do is equal subtotal, open parentheses, again, it's for the sum, so we're going to use 9, comma, and then we include the 5,000, and then we include every other amount in the table, and if you keep that there consistently, if taking them for a trial balance, if you needed to update numbers and you had it exactly like this, it would work every single time. Now we have this amount. So as you can see, if 5,000 minus the 2,150 equals the $2,850. So that is basically what skinny row and better summing really works out to be at the end of the day. It's a very nice feature in Excel, and I will personally be using it when it comes to my full-time job at Apple Growth Partners. Now, speaking of Apple Growth Partners here, as you can see, these are more specific amounts of my budget that I could be seeing for myself. Again, some of these numbers are just absolute guesstimates, and this is just a monthly budget for what I could be having for the next month or so. As you can see, there's various expenses like Jersey Mike's, Walmart, First Energy, which is electricity, timber top, my rent place, and then obviously I'll be working at Apple Growth Partners. Now the second topic I will be talking about is lookup, or VLOOKUP more specifically here in this example. So VLOOKUP, I've already used this in my previous internship when I worked back home. It's a very useful item in Excel, and I highly recommend it. So basically, the very basic part of VLOOKUP is just, you just type in equals VLOOKUP, and what I am looking for is my Apple Growth Partners amount, because these three revenues or expenses are basically cut off the top of my Apple Growth amount. So VLOOKUP, I'm looking for Apple Growth Partners in the description, and then we take this table or array starting from Jersey Mike's going all the way to the gas dollar amount. And what you need to do here to lock up the formula so then it doesn't go down, if you want to drag the VLOOKUP function all the way down, you press F4, it will set that array and lock it. After that, you want the column index number. So you either have column 1 here, which is all the descriptions, or column 2 here, which is the amounts. So we're looking obviously for the amounts, so we want column 2. After that, it's either a true, which is an approximate match, or it's false, which is an exact match. And we're obviously looking for an exact match here, so we want false. Close your parenthesis, hit enter, and you can see that Apple Growth is $2,250 for this month. Now, as you can see, that makes sense. If you go down into the table, you can see that Apple Growth is that exact same amount. So then, since you have locked up the formula or the array with the F4 function or F4 key, all you have to do, drag it down or double click the right side, and you can get all these other expenses. So timber top for 1,000, timber top for 1,000. Makes sense. First energy, negative $68. First energy, negative $68. Telephone, negative 50. Telephone, negative 50. VLOOKUP is a very nice and neat function, and it is going to be very vital when I'm using it for my job or when I'm making my own personal budget in the future. Now finally, here we have volume 3. Now, volume 3 is just pivot table basics. I have actually only just not recently used pivot tables in my finance class, and now of course in my accounting class. So pivot tables are actually very, very useful when it comes into looking from a month-to-month basis on how your money is going, how it's being spent. It's a very nice tool to evaluate how you're using your money. So basically, we have a whole bunch of expenses and revenues for each month, January, February, and March. And let's just basically make a pivot table with it. So all you do is you go to Insert, go to Pivot Table, and then you have the range here, pivot table range. You can make it on a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. For the sake of this, all you would have to do is click on a new worksheet and it would create one for you. I've already done this, so we're going to go ahead and hit cancel, and we're going to unhide this, which was actually another Excellium University topic that I didn't include, but there you go. And this is what you can get into. So here you have the pivot table fields where you can edit to make it look somewhat like this. So I have it set up where the the rows are all the various different accounts, whether it's Amazon, Apple Growth, all the way to Wi-Fi, whether being expenses or revenues. And then we have the columns of the month, so we can see on a month-to-month basis on how our money is being used. And then finally, we have the amounts in the months, and then also we are summing the various different amounts from month-to-month basis. And I think this is a very unique tool to see how you are using your money from a month-to-month basis. As you can see, there's growths and troughs and then peaks in terms of my money from a month-to-month basis. And I can use this tool to see how much money I have truly saved up in the first year of my job venture. And I think this is a very unique tool. So those are the 4-ish topics that I have talked about today for my Excel University wrap-up series. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. Have a wonderful day.